Hey everybody, James with Inside Enduro. Today we're going to set up the most extreme setup. If you want to waste your cash, do something else. But if you want to climb the walls like Spider-Man, here it is, baby. This extreme setup's going on our giveaway bike at InsideEnduro.com. There's only 20 some days to get on that thing. If you want to ride into the new year on that bad boy, get your ticket in. Plus you can get the mooses, the tires, all that stuff at InsideEnduro.com, as well as any of the other hard enduro parts. And so we're gonna mate this moose with this tire, and it's our first time, so I don't know, we'll eventually get it in here at some point, but stay tuned. We got a lot of lube, so I'm pretty sure we'll figure out how to get it done. If you're gonna ride extreme, you need traction. I tell you, sometimes people get carried away with the tire. The moose is just as important. So with this today, we're gonna use the Michelin Moose. You're like, all right, why use the Michelin? Well, for us, the Michelin has been around since the mid-'80s. They have quality control down pat. The one nice thing is you get a Michelin M14, it's the same size as another Michelin M14, another Michelin M14, etc. Unfortunately, there's some brands, a lot of them in this country, that the sizes vary hugely, which means your traction is going to vary hugely. This is not a good thing. There's some other good manufacturers in Europe that do an incredible job, but for accessibility and price, the Michelin is our go-to in the United States for sure. But we will drill this to give it that custom fit. What we're going to be mating this with, not in an animal sense, but the king, the Titan, Graham Jarvis, Gomez, Lev Beckler, all the big dogs, they run Billy Bolt, they run the Michelin Xtreme. And the Michelin Xtreme is basically an FIM approved tire. These tires have a really soft crown for traction and a reasonably stiff sidewall so that you can run it soft for a long period of time without the thing destroying itself. This seems to be the all-around best tire in our opinion. If you look at this rubber, it has memory. As you twist it, look how long it takes to come back. It has this crazy grip. It's all siped, and it has a lot of other things going on that aren't as subtle. Another tire we do like is the AT81, and it's been kind of a go-to. When you look at it, this one's a little taller, but there's some things going on. If you look at it closely, lug to lug is about 14 centimeters on this AT81 Xtreme. When you go lug to lug on the outers, these are 17 centimeters. And if you look with the casing, this lug is actually pretty much in line with the sidewall, where if you look at this lug, it sticks out. So if you're in muddy, rutty conditions, you're gonna get side grip, especially as this tire flattens out. You're gonna get a lot of side grip, where this one you're not gonna get as much. So to me, this is a little more moto-y. I really like it in dry conditions. This is really an off-camber side hill king, because again, from this distance to this distance is over 17 centimeters. From this distance to this distance is 14. So these lugs on the side that are siped are actually down, and these stick out, as you can see, past the sidewall. So especially when you're running low PSI and this tire basically flattens out, you're gonna have a lot of traction on the uphill side, which makes it a side hilling king. With these, the lugs on the AT81, these are 16 millimeters tall. And since these are FIM, these are 13 millimeters. And it's really kind of a tricky business, because you can have a lot of soft tires out there and you go, oh man, that's so soft. Well, if the lug folds over, you lose your traction. So there is some give and take with how soft the rubber is. If it's just floppy soft, not a good thing. The better rubbers seem to have memory, and then they're strong enough to bend, but not bend over. I've heard that somewhere before. Anyways, so that being said, we're gonna move on, and we know from our experience that M14 Michelin Moose works incredibly with the Michelin Xtreme rear tire. So we're gonna drill some holes, get this set up, and we're gonna show you how a bib fits well. And you know, there's a couple things out there. Now, a lot of times you get these undersized mousses that unfortunately are sold all over the United States. They're undersized and they're hard. 2 strikes against you. And what happens is you put them in your tire and they undersize them. And by the way, all the guides, all the charts, if you're doing hard enduro, throw those charts away. They're garbage. There's liability attached to them. We have no liability. You can't even find us. I don't even know if we're in America filming right now. But what happens is they take an undersized hard mousse and they throw it in the tire. And then you go and you push down, you're like, oh man, that's soft. This is gonna be epic. And then you go out and you struggle and you're like, what the hell? Well, what's going on is if you have dead airspace, there's no mousse backing this, when you hit a root or a rock or an object, it just pushes the tire in at a pretty fast velocity. And once that tire hits that hard resistant mousse, basically it rebounds off, kicking you off, not giving you traction. A good way to think about this from a hard enduro legend, Paul Bolton, think of it like this. Say you want to fill your tire up almost with chocolate mousse or foam or cream or something like that, so that you don't want no dead airspace, but you want it soft. And what that means is when you hit something, instead of just going with flat velocity like boom, dead airspace, it contours and it wraps and it 3-dimensionally envelops the root or the rock, giving you traction as it goes over. So the thing is, you want to keep whatever tire you're using, whatever mousse you're using, you want to try to keep the tire casing full, not expanded like this, but just full. And if it's full, then you make the softness through the mousse by drilling and making the mousse softer, not by putting in dead airspace. This is a big thing. It'll make all the difference in the traction you get out there. And if you're gonna pay the money to have a mousse and to have a bitchin' tire, well, you better do it right. You're really just wasting your cash. Here we are with gloves on again and lube and our 1.25 Inside Enduro drill. The cameraman's laughing. We got her all lubed up. Again, as most of you know, we've sent these all over the world. This 1.25 drill, you can get it at InsideEnduro.com. We're gonna put some holes in this mousse. So we got her lubed up and here we go. So again, pretty simple. Perpendicular, somewhat in the middle. I used to measure every one, but that got really boring. And we just go, man, and that's it. I mean, tell you what, pretty money. Give her a little lube again. For the Xtreme setup, we're gonna do about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Just like that. Gotta like it. If you want more detailed, we have a YouTube video on Pro Traction that goes through and does the entire thing. And it's interesting to know, there's a lot of stuff going on with these mousses. As they heat up, you want to put them through a couple heat cycles before you race them, because when the mousses, they're made of a butyl foam, which is basically like 1 billion little nitrogen cells that are in this thing. As it gets hot, they expand. So if you're running hot, you'll see some guys will even try to hit a creek, you know, or try to stay in the creek a little bit for a second to just kind of cool that thing down. It'll actually reduce their PSI. So it's just kind of a something to keep in mind. As you run mousses fast, they do expand and they do contract. There's a lot going on with this foam we call the mousse. Well, here we are, the final Xtreme product. Now we just stick her right in the tire here, see how this goes. So I always lube the inside of the tire. Don't so much lube the mousse, because the bead will just kind of windshield wiper it off. And I don't know if anyone's seen Animal Planet, but it's just basically like just how baby dolphins are made. Look at that baby. So here we got our XLW Han hub, super sweet. We got our Michelin Xtreme. We got our drilled moose in. This is gonna be a sick setup. I know a lot of people like to use, you know, the Rabaconda or something, but I don't know, as part of our training program, we just pretty much, we mount them. I just stick the thing in. Oh man, that went in pretty nice. He doesn't go that easy. Glad I used a lot of lube. So for this bad boy, M14 drilled in the Michelin Xtreme, look at about 4 to 6 PSI. That's why we're running double rim locks. Spider-Man, watch out.